if I had said, hey, when we get out of here, listen, I swear to you, this is how it's going to work. We're going to get together. We're just going to talk about crap that happened in the yard. We're going to do it online. People will actually show up and listen. You'd have been like, what the hell is he hitting, dude? Has he been buying the K2 that they're coming out of HEMA unit? HEMA unit K2 ain't no good. You don't want to smoke that stuff, man. Make you crazy. So today, I'll kick this thing off. Listen, if you have any questions, put those puppies up there with a bunch of Q's in front of them. We'll star them. We'll make sure we get to everybody today, I promise. So today, I was watching YouTube, as I do from time to time, looking for content. And there was a guy talking to a cop. It was one of these like videos where body cam stuff. This dude said stuff to a cop. And I was thinking to myself, in our day and age, this guy would have pulled out a sap. He'd have hit me in the back of the head. I'd have been unconscious, and I'd have woke up in the back of the police car. And then when I got to where I was going, they'd have beat the bark off me. This kid was sitting there telling this cop that he had done sexual things to the cop's daughter. One right after the other. And the foulest stuff you've ever heard coming out of anyone's mouth. And my brother said to me, what kind of lowlife? I said, man, when this thing is over, they're going to tell you that this was either PCP or it was that K2 crap. And sure as hell, man, they got to the end of it. And they said, apparently he was smoking a synthetic cannabinoid. And it was not really synthetic cannabinoid. That stuff was way too strong. It was all over the ass. It was so weird because I haven't seen an episode in a long time. Then I went back and started watching and went, oh no, I've seen this show a million times. Dude, so spun, they've got no idea where they are. Like that stuff's, if you've not tried K2, don't. Right?
Yeah, don't.
It's a dangerous drug,
don't.
Hell, for real. There we go. And we start this thing
living
off.
On it too.
Yeah, no. And inside it's so popular, people. And the reason it is because they turn this stuff into liquid, right? So if you're sending in a piece of paper, you just take that piece of paper and they dunk it into the chemical with what it is it sounds like killer weed. No, it's something completely different. Wow, I should not be allowed to touch computer stuff. I apologize. No, what this stuff is a little bit different. It is it's a synthetic cannabinoid. So in theory, this is going to be working on the same receptors that, what did we do? Did I get rid of him or did he get rid of him?
I do not know.
Oh, no, you know what? He's not connected anymore. So that wasn't me. That was Russ. Russ, get back in here. So it's not a weed product. It acts on the same receptors, right? It acts on the same receptors in the brain, but this stuff's made in a lab, right? And the doctor that made it, I can't think of his name anymore, but it starts with a J. And they will call this particular stuff is all done by numbers. You don't call up and go, hey, I want that K2. It says, there are a series of numbers on it. And the J stuff that has a J in front of it, like you'd be in prison and you'd hear guys go, hey, man, we just got a batch in here and it's that J. All right, that's good. I think you got a little background. There we go. That's better. That J class stuff is absolutely foul, and it got people doing really stupid things. We had episodes that were horrific. Just people screaming at the top of their lungs and doing things that you couldn't possibly imagine. What is one thing did you wish you had while you were in prison? One thing from the street. Russ, check your mic. We're getting a bunch of background noise on.
Is it good? There's nothing on here.
Oh, and you're way louder now than you were earlier.
Yeah.
How about now?
Still a little bit of background, but you're a lot better than you are.
There's nothing on.
No, I think it's just we have the gain on too loud or something.
Right.
Something.
And maybe the gain on the microphone.
Yeah, but when your voice lowered, that went away. Yeah.
Okay.
So, are we talking about Spice or Poppy or K2? Tara Jackson, here's the problem with these, right? Just real quickly. The problem with this is that all of them now are getting like it's calling something a Kleenex, right? Inside the system, they are referring to everything as K2. Now, Spice or Potpourri or whatever, or K2, all of them, for all intents and purposes, like the stuff you see that's a flower, there's nothing on that flower. It didn't grow to get you high. They sprayed the flower with the same chemical that these guys are buying and putting on paper. But all of them are just a variation of this synthetic cannabinoid stuff that was made by this one scientist that, it's all garbage. It really is. All of it is garbage, to be sure. But the stuff that they're talking about, they usually use the term K2, and it is a chemical that is purchased from, well, I won't tell you how because I don't want people to do it, but there's a place you can order from this, and it's just numbers and letters. And these J-class ones are the strongest of all of them, and they're fairly vicious. They really are. And it ends up costing a lot of people some serious brain issues, brain trouble. Like you've seen this. If you've been inside, you watch guys cook their brain. I mean, literally cook their brain. And by the time it's getting ready for them to leave, they're just never going to be right again. It's kind of scary.
Guys are eating faces off of other people, biting into them. I mean, that's what I heard.
No, that absolutely was happening in Florida.
Yeah.
That gets a lot of times you're going to hear people talk about that and credit it to bath salts. But all of these things, but all of these things, for lack of any other way to think about it, these are chemists who are taking, just real quick story. My first wife, when she was going through college, had to take a chemical engineering course. And her project, right, for the end of the year was she had to create cinnamon in a lab. So she had to take real cinnamon and then use the chemicals from all of the different places out there to assemble something that smelled like, tastes like, but it's all fake. It's all done with chemicals. They do the same thing with drugs now, and they mix it just enough, right? And they call these things the analogs of, but they're so close to the real substance and they're very, very dangerous substances, man. The stuff that they're doing on the street right now. Well, all of this stuff is closer to PCP for sure than it is to anything else. It really has that kind of an effect more than anything else. Thank you, Analytical Blarney. All right, guys. One thing that you could take from the street, if you were inside, like if you could take one thing from the street to go in with, what would it be? And you're not allowed to say a 9mm. Don't go there. I know you're right. A pistol. No, you can't take that. Key? Gate key?
Freedom. Key? Well, we already had keys.
Yeah.
We already had handcuff keys.
Yeah, I had a handcuff key. But honestly, if I was going to take one thing in from the street, I got out. Right, I'm never without this. It's a Swiss Army knife, and every time I'm out doing something on the street, I'll be like, "Oh man, like this just would have been so easy." And I had no desire to stab anybody or do anything else. But all of the things that this does, that we take for granted, you don't have scissors. Like they sell them, but those scissors that they sell on store, you couldn't cut a baby. Right, you couldn't hurt anything with those scissors. They're absolutely worthless. So you end up taking apart razors to do everything. Right, a pet would be great. Panda Kelly says a pet, but for me, I'd want a Swiss Army knife. Yeah, honestly, think of all of the stuff on this. Look at that. It's a screwdriver. Like you have no idea how much you take that for granted, but the things that you could do with just a screwdriver.
You need a star bit. That hollow
star bit. Yeah, you know what? Casper had a star bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I first met Casper, that was one. Honestly, that was one of Casper's biggest scores. When I first met him, he had a perfect one. He had it on a chuck. You see, listen how good my memory is. This was on a chuck that people use for a drill, right? Mm-hmm. And he had the end of that thing done into a star key, so you could go into the shower and just go. I mean, it was
light switches, everything.
He was big pimping, dude. He was a criminal. When I met Casper was going hard in the paint. He was a straight.
And just for my viewers and people that my name is Casper. My nickname was Casper. To everyone who knows me as Sam. I just want to put that out there now.
You know, I should probably tell Sam that we're not incarcerated. But bad.
I used to do but that's all right. I think. Really, and I wouldn't even have to have the internet, but just like a computer that had some programs on it, that I could just learn and master, or it could be C++ or just I don't know, but I really wouldn't even want the internet. I mean, it'd be nice to have the internet, but you know what I mean.
I take that for granted now, but you know something? All I do all day long is look up information all day long. Yeah. And I take it for granted now because now if I think of something and it's like, I used to read the entire book, right? Someone would say, oh, there's such great stuff in there. And I would take notes on it and things, especially if it had to do with chemical dependency or whatever. And you end up reading a book this thick. Right. And there's like 9 sentences from that damn book that end up going into the notebook. And you're just like, what an epic waste of time with AI and all of the stuff that I've got now. Oh, yeah. A computer would have been great. God.
But now they have iPads and I mean, not that they can go on the internet, but it's something that they can watch movies on, and
Yeah.
I guess they have that in the feds now. That's what I've been hearing from my fellows that have been getting out.
In the feds, they got tablets in the feds.
Yeah,
Shut up.
to do for visiting, for everything.
When did you get out, Casper?
In 2013.
Okay.
You got
See, I'm way old school. I was in from like 89 to 99. So
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have computers, and nobody had computers really back then.
They didn't have it in 20.
Cell phones, nothing. You know. See,
I got out right at toward the end of 2020. So basically, I was out for a couple of months before it was 21, and they sure as hell didn't have them then. But
yeah, they have tablets now.
But it said on the screen, like you remember back when you and I were at Black Canyon, and it said like MP3. We didn't have an MP3, but it already said it on the computer. Well, right, that's what it was like when I was leaving. It said visiting. There were like 3 different things that you're like, whoa, you knew it was coming, but it hadn't.
And so that visiting they're doing on tablets now that they can buy.
That's incredible to me.
Crazy.
That is absolutely incredible.
What's next?
Well, and you know, my wife, the one that was the attorney, the first place to ever do it in the U.S. anywhere was the jail we were at, and nobody would do it. Like everybody was kind of weirded out and paranoid, and she was like, "Oh hell yeah!" Right? I mean, she only lived 2 miles down the street, but she was like, "No, we'll do the video visits." And since no one else did it, and I mean literally no one else, they would come on and go, "We're trying to iron some stuff out. Would you guys like another hour for free?" And you're only supposed to do 15 minutes. We'd be like, "Oh hell yeah!" You know, I mean, and I would go on there every night and just talk to her for hours in FaceTime. But it got out of control at this place because they had them on the wall, like a payphone kind of a thing. And they had little dividers or whatever, but I would go and sit down, and you remember my wife, she was blonde and kind of tall. Like she stuck out.
She was tall.
And guys would be walking by and people say things, and it's like, you're always on the, and I had a homeboy that I ended up doing a ton of time in the feds with solid wood, but he would sit on the back of my chair. So his back would be against my back, and he'd just be like, "Man, keep walking. Like, say something, dumb, dude. I'm going to crush your larynx."
Yeah. I remember it was just a payphone when I was in. We didn't get anything like that.
Right? Well, it's crazy to me that they're going to allow tablets, because you're going to get someone like you. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, it's going to be somebody that kind of understands the system, and they're going to figure out a way to get that tablet to where they can get online and they can do things, because there are some slick fools in there. You think to yourself, you got nothing to worry about. I remember guys saying to me, your MP3 player's broken. You want to sell it to me? And I'd be like, what the hell? What are you going to do with it? And they would bootstrap these things. I had 4,000 songs on my MP3 player. When I was at Victorville, there was a guy that goes, "Give me your MP3 player and I can make it so you never have to plug it back in." We used to have to plug it in every 2 weeks to charge, or you didn't get your music. He'd say, "I can load it so that never happens again, but you can't put any more music on it." Well, I was getting this dude to crank them out. Every week I was buying a new one, every week. And I would just sell it with 4,000 songs on it, find a guy my age and be like, "Dude, give me $400. I'll sell this thing to you. It's got all the music," because it's $1 a song. I'm going to sell you $4,500 worth of music. And then we got caught.
Yeah.
As is always the case. It was a good one, so we got caught.
That's right.
It was a good time. While it lasted, it was a hell of a lot of fun. It was a great hustle. Yeah. But all good hustles come to an end, unfortunately.
That's true. They do. Yeah, they get touched by the police somehow.
They get touched. Any interesting stuff? I'll tell you, there's a couple of prison stories this week that came out that I find kind of fascinating. So we will bring them up. Analytical Blarney, thank you so much. See that song? Big Pimpin'. Stuck in her dome piece. I blame me. I blame me. All right, people. I've told the story before. But that's where I pulled up. This is in the state of Pennsylvania. Yep. And this is where I pulled up to go to prison. That is Lewisburg Penitentiary. Everything you're looking at right there is inside the wall, right? So the wall that goes around this prison, this right here is the administrative building. All of it, everything is inside the prison. And this right here, these are the blocks, right? This is J block, the second floor. And this is where I lived, on J block, second floor, for the entire time I was there. And we would go from cell to cell to cell to cell every 21 days. But there are lawsuits coming out of Lewisburg, and they're talking about opening up for a class action for all the people that went through the special management unit.
No.
Wow.
For cruel and unusual punishment. So I got some homeboys that said, dude, you got to get on this, because I was there a long time. Like I was really there a long time. And it's a pretty ugly prison. They were not particularly kind to people, but I was blown away by that. I figure maybe there's a change in times, and there's actually a shot that maybe people will treat us kindly. I'm probably pipe dreaming it. See that? Big pimping, everybody. Big pimping. Keep it going. I want to hear it's in everybody's head.
I don't even know the song.
You don't?
Nuh-uh.
Why do I find that hard to believe?
Who sings it?
Do people who ride in your car try to make birthdays special?
They sure do. Go ahead, Russ.
Not in the state. I mean, your celly might do something, you know what I mean? But fellas don't come from other buildings with candles and a cake.
No candles, no cake.
You get a brownie in between 2 chocolate chip cookies, you know, Peckerwood sandwich.
Yeah. Man, it seemed like in the feds everywhere I went, especially when I was at Terre Haute, the boys would get together and you know, months in advance they'd have some artist, draw you a card, and then everyone would sign it, and they would say the craziest stuff, like foul. Foul, the foulest of foul, but all out of love. And then some of your boys would give you stamps or drugs or whatever they would give you. You guys remember last week I told the story about that Thor's hammer I had that was given to me on my birthday by my buddy Danny, and no, it was always a special. The boys really stepped up and made it special.
I signed a card for you. I signed a birthday card for you when I was in Black Canyon, and there must have been 150 signatures on it. I never told anybody when my birthday was, ever. In fact, I got busted by you when we were together because we were in the shoe for my birthday, and they came over and the guy was like, "Hey man, isn't it your birthday today?" And you just kind of looked at me like, "Why wouldn't you know it was your birthday?" I just didn't tell anybody in prison ever. And it was weird because like the last rip, especially, like Q was my homeboy, and he said to me, he's like, "Hey man, what's your birthday?" I was like, "I'll tell you when my birthday is, but if you tell someone else when my birthday is, we're gonna get in a fist fight." You know what I mean? Like I really, because it always depressed the hell out of me, man. The way that parties were put on in there, especially on my last rip. Before that, I didn't care. Like the first sentence or whatever, because it was gonna be drugs, right? I would tell somebody it was my birthday and guaranteed someone was gonna buy me $100 or $50 worth of smack. And or I was going to get some, some booze or some shine or whatever. There was always, but whatever I was going to be doing was going to be effing up. I wasn't going to be being solid. So my last time in there, it was like I did everything I could to read a lot of books and lay low, man. I really kind of tried to stay under the radar.
I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
No, you were going really. Like I said, I'm not being funny. You were going hard to the paint when you and I met. Dude,
I was. Yeah, I still had it. Felt like I still had some time to do.
I was telling my girlfriend that the other day. I was telling her, she goes, he seems like such a mellow guy. I went, oh God. I'm like, yeah, he is now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we all get
age
old.
Will do to you.
That's right. We all get old, but no, back in the day.
Yeah, people used to tell me like, man, Casper, when you land at a spot, you land, and I would land, and I was already in the mix. I had to know who everybody was, and this is what I did, and this is what I desire. I made sure I landed hard, loud, and proud.
Do you remember what you did when they came up and gave you the? Casper did not think he was going to a USP. He figured he would probably go to another FCI. What he did with the cop was going to get him right on the cusp if they ran with it and wrote it up that way. And when they did, and he knew it was, they came up and were like, they would walk every Wednesday, and they went by, and he's like, "Hey, any word, boss?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're going to Pollock, USP Pollock." And Casper was like, "Can you take me down to the barber shop?" He's like, "Right now, can you take me down to the barber shop?" And he came back up looking like a completely different cat. You had eyebrows when you came back up, actually.
Yeah.
It's great. My biological grandpa died of drug use or alcohol abuse. Do you feel addiction is hereditary? Noah, here's the science on this. Whether I believe it or not, or other people do, it is. So you're going to hear people have opinions on this. And sadly, the opinions no longer matter. It's kind of like whether or not this is a disease no longer matters, because the 3 things you needed to be able to do, now we can, right? We can tick off all 3. For a longest time, in order for something to be a disease, you have to be able to diagnose it. So there has to be a method of which you can say, Casper's got this, Russ doesn't. And if there isn't a test, then there isn't a disease. That is by medical standards of sorts. I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of one of the 3 things that has to happen. And now through brain scans, you can point to an addicted brain versus one that is not. It is a disease. So along that line, absolutely, it's hereditary. That doesn't mean it's a lock, right? But think of it like type 2 diabetes. If your parents have type 2 diabetes, there's an excellent chance that you have a predisposition to that. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it, but it's lying in your body. And if you live the wrong way, there's a decent chance that could happen and you could get it. And that's kind of how you have to look at addiction. My kid, forget about it, right? My kids are drug addicts. They don't have a chance in hell. Both of their parents are addicted, and it's played out that way. It just is the way it is. And it definitely is an aspect of it, to be sure.
I got my dad's addictive personality. He was a drinker, but I never drank.
Well, yeah, that's a symptom, right? The booze is a symptom, and it could have been blow, right? It would have been the same symptom. It's just the symptom of the disease. And for some people, it's shopping, and for some people, it's gambling, but the disease itself, we have the ugliest symptoms. It's the reason that drug addicts are hated, right? If you shop too much, nobody gets really angry at you. But our symptoms tend to make people do things that are illegal. Our substance is illegal. So if you have to break the law every time you buy your substance, well, breaking another one doesn't seem so tough, right? So now I'm going to boost a little bit of stuff, and who cares? I'm already breaking the law to get what I have to get every day to not feel sick. It's kind of a mindset. It's true. It is. It's
true, sort of feed the animal.
You got to feed the animal. That's a
my dad was a drinker too. Yeah.
I never did heroin. I never did it. Well, I did it one time, and I couldn't do it because that's not. I don't know. It's just something about it I couldn't do. My kick was always speed.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's very, very odd to me and fascinating, right? Since starting the Lifeboat and working with people to see that, that whole we're all in the same boat thing. God, it is just absolutely so true. The symptoms and everything else change up, but you're peeling the onion to get to whatever the hell's making you do those substances. So whether it's speed for you or smack for me or booze, we're all doing the exact same thing. We're just that one takes away for you what you need taken away. Smack took away from me what I needed to, these things don't give you anything. I promise. They take away stuff, right? People go, it gives you confidence. No, it takes away fear, right? Yeah. It only takes, they don't give anything. I promise. It doesn't make you brave. You're not brave. It makes you stupid, right? And then you no longer worry about being scared. Is there a support group for family members whose loved ones are in prison? Absolutely there is. And there are a bunch of them, and there are some good ones. Depending on whether or not your people are in state or federal, changes up a little bit of how some of the support groups are. Send me an email and tell me where your people are, and I'll get you a group and get you hooked up with them, because there's a lot of them. And I speak at a couple of them every once in a while, so I know some good ones, to be sure.
A lot of churches too.
Yeah, churches all do that. They do, but there especially like right now in the feds, there are some incredible support groups because the feds don't let information out. So if you got a boyfriend who's on a yard and they get locked down, you're not going to know why. Like, I don't know how many times my wife flew to see me at Black Canyon or at Lewisburg or wherever, only to have them say, no, visiting's canceled. And they don't tell you that. She gets on a plane, flies all the way in there, and then I got to call her and hear her cry and go through all that. It's just a crap situation. But
yeah.
Do you reflect on your time in prison and feel it was wasted time, or is there anything positive that comes from that experience? Casper, I should fire this one up.
So, funny story. So when I first got out, I was at my brother's house, and he's got this beautiful house in Hollywood Hills, and you can see the Hollywood sign, and look down of all of LA. And I really, really felt like I had wasted time. And it bothered me for a few weeks, where like I was just depressed. I didn't think, I should have a house right by now. It didn't have to be in the Hollywood Hills, but just, he owned some apartment buildings. I just felt like I really wasted a lot of time. And I mean, common sense would tell you, yeah, there was a lot of time wasted, but there was a million things positive that came out of it. You know, just, you know, in the aspect that I didn't have, you know, a house and a retirement plan and like, and like this, you know, on my way out into the golden years, like this beautiful life set up. But, you know, there's so many positive things that came out, and we've talked about it before. I felt like that's where I learned how to be a man, you know, like the core values of being a man, keeping your word, showing solidarity with your friends, loyalty,
wisdom,
wisdom, just so many things, wisdom that I never would have learned on the streets. That a guy like me needed to learn, you know, just so many things, you know, it's crazy. So in that aspect, I wouldn't change anything for anything. Yeah. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be today. I'm my most authentic self. I am today, even if I do get a little depressed sometimes or overworked or stressed out. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be today. And I don't say that to like convince myself to feel better about myself, or, you know, I'm not lying to myself just so I feel better about my situation. It's truly, and that's crazy. I never thought I would have said that, you know, or felt that way. Because I always felt like I had to be that guy who I was before I became an addict or before I started practicing addiction, because I didn't start till I was 29. Yeah. And so like I always felt I got to get to who I was when I was 28. No, that guy was an asshole. That guy told his wife that she couldn't have a Christmas tree because we were just too busy to enjoy it. And that was her absolute favorite holiday. And I was like, no, we're not getting a Christmas tree. Were you stupid? You know, that guy was an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, so
I get it. Boy, I get it.
Yeah.
Russ, what do you think?
He said it all in a nutshell there. I mean, it's everything I would have said. Yeah. You know, it's just regret, because you think of what you could have been if you were like this now. You know, it's that old cliche, if I knew then what I knew now.
Yeah.
So
I contemplate the crap out of this. I swear to God, this is if I'm struggling to sleep, right? This is where my head goes every single time. And I had to do 3 prison sentences. I had to. I didn't learn anything on the first 2, right? I didn't. I continued to party. I continued to break the law, and I just believed it was impossible for someone like me to live without heroin. It wasn't a possibility. I wasn't like other people. Like, they used and they did things, but it was different. For me, it was a necessity, and it wasn't. And I watched other people get sick, but for me, it was different. Like, I'm going to go rob a bank, right? I'm not doing without this stuff, and I'm going to take that to a level that the next guy probably isn't. So for me, it was always until I met Q, and Q said to me, "Come here, man. There's somebody I want you to meet." And I went down, and the guy had his paperwork and everything else, has PSI, and he had a 12 gram a day China white habit, a black dude. And I sat and talked to this dude for a while, and this may sound really stupid, right? But it was like Roger Bannister breaking that 5-minute mile, right? This was possible. I honestly sat down and looked at the dude and went, holy shit, this guy did more dope than me and got sober, right? There's a guy out there that did more of this than I did. Because I said to the dude, did you ever overdose? He goes, not once. Okay. Every addict overdoses. I didn't either. I was always that freak. I tried taking myself out and couldn't. I just was a dude that couldn't overdose. To meet a guy, to realize it was possible, all of a sudden it was like, holy crap, I never would have found that on the street. I just wouldn't have. And you go, well, there's rehabs and you couldn't have got me to one with a gun to my head. I'd have been down scoring a bag, right? So for me, the greatest thing that ever happened to me was going to prison this last time. So I do the same thing that everyone else does. I sit and think, how many people could I have gotten clean? How many dead people, right, could I have talked to who are already gone that may have caught the boat? And you start spiraling and getting those kind of mindsets. But if I didn't do all that crap, I wouldn't have been able to say any of those things anyway. I wouldn't have had anything intelligent to weigh in on, because the reason that people listen is because I was such a screw up. I mean, honestly, right? It took 30 years of being an idiot, or my resume wouldn't have kept people listening. Yeah. So it's, honestly, for me, and I met, no joke, you meet thousands of people, and most of them are worthless. And I'm dead serious. There's a lot of people in there that are worthless, but I met about a half a dozen people that I would happily do anything for. Right? I'd run into a burning building, or I'd grab a piece and go to work. You know, and that's a rare thing. You know, you think you know what friendship is, and that's another thing, right? I've told the story 100 times, but I had a misunderstanding that was going to get steel put inside me. And in the feds, if you go in another unit, you're going to get caught, especially if you're in a higher custody level. You're not just going in and out of units, man. They get upset at that. And I walked in, and a homeboy of mine is sitting in a different races section having a conversation with the people that I had a beef with, because he wasn't going to let it go down. And I said, dude, get out of here. He goes, I got this. Don't trip.
Yeah.
I don't know what he said, right? But they came up and said, hey, that's quashed. Don't worry about that. Right.
Yeah.
So he went over there and had to say something along the lines of, if something happens to my boy, I'm going to kill every single person in this building. Like, I'm going to come back here with guys and go nuts. And to have somebody to have your back like that, it gives you a different mindset when you leave. It really does. Because when someone goes, hey, man, you got my back? I go, no. I do it all the time. No, I don't. I mean, I could talk to you. I could do whatever. I don't have your back. That's a completely different thing. I've learned what that means. And with all due respect, I'm not signing up for that. You know, I'm not ready to go down and stab people if you need that. You know, it's different. And I got a lot out of that. I really did. You know, when you need someone to be outside that shower so you can close your eyes and wash, that's a different kind of friendship. It really is. It's kind of
in the state, you know, I came out a stronger man than I went in, because I could tell somebody no, and I could tell them why.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, I've got just all of my uncles and the cooks and everything. You're trying to hook me back up. And no, this is why. You know, no disrespect. I'm leaving. They kicked me out of California. Yeah. So that was it.
Grizel, you're absolutely right. There is a range of reasons that people have addictions, right? But the common denominator is people who do not feel comfortable in their own skin. And that chemical, that shopping, that whatever buys you a block of time where for that period of time, you feel comfortable inside your own skin. You don't feel like you want to jump out of it. And learning to feel comfortable in your own skin with no substances, right? I think that's the key, you know? And if you could have told me that was possible when I was doing, 6 or 7 grams a day, I would have gone, nah, probably not. You know, I really doubt that. And then to be doing what I'm doing, not just be comfortable sober, but to be comfortable out here admitting what a scumbag I am, right? And how I lived is probably not something that I would have been doing. You know, so I spent a career lying about who I was, and now with the other. Yeah. Might be inappropriate. What? On the boat?
No.
But I don't understand how any of you drink anything from a cell toilet. Please
I never did.
No, I can explain this. The cell toilet thing, it's not. People use the word toilet Merlot because they think it's kind of funny. But 2 things. Number 1, you've not ever seen a toilet cleaner than a prison toilet.
Right.
I promise you. If it's I don't mean like in the shoe, right? But if it's in your place, you don't have anything else to do, right? Mm-hmm. Guys get stupid about that. During lockdowns, you do laundry in the toilet, right? They're made of metal, and like I knew guys that clean this thing 3 times a day. However, if you are going to cook in the toilet, it's because you happen to have a sink that will run the hot water. If you keep the hot water running, it flows into the toilet as the overflow. Therefore, if you leave the hot water on, you can put a bag of wine into that water. And if you raise that water to 80 or 90 degrees, a 4-day bag of wine will be ready in a day and a half. That's always a really good thing.
We had long stingers in there. You know, the guys that had we were allowed stingers, but that's what they would do. I mean, they'd have a 10-foot, 12-foot cord, and they would just stick it under the bunk or whatever. Yeah. They would do that.
Yeah.
But you take 2 bags. The inner bag holds the wine, and the outer bag protects the inner bag. And then that goes into the toilet, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you got to burp the air out of it. It gets bigger and bigger, but there's always 2 bags. And
we're not lining up with cups dipping it out of, the toilet.
No, right. Although I'll tell you one of the funniest things ever. We had a bag of wine cooking in a toilet, and it was a single bag because there wasn't a double, and it was hard to get bags in the shoe, which is where we were cooking it. And it was laughy, man. And we're pulling this stuff out, right? And he goes, we need a strainer for this. And the guy goes, hey, I got a t-shirt, man. And he goes, dude, I got to use no dirty t-shirt. And there's wine coming out the side of the bag. I'm like, bro, there's a hole in that bag and it's been in a pitcher for 2 days and you're wearing a t-shirt to straighten this stuff out.
Dude. Yeah.
Knock yourself out, man. Good for you. You're a trooper. But you tend to go a little hard. I mean, again, it's kind of nasty, the attitude that you take, but like I've watched guys eat 5 ounces of nutmeg because they wanted to feel a head change,
right.
Inside there. And the guy tripped his balls off. Dude said to me, I've never, ever been that high in my life. I said, really? He goes, yeah, I didn't crap for 9 days after that and had to go down to medical. He said, but wow, what a buzz. How did y'all get your nicknames? Okay, there you go. Well, it's Rock, not Rocky. But how did I get Rock? I don't know that I can answer that. And I've had that nickname since college.
Yeah.
It had, it had something to do with a fire alarm and me not getting up. Like they brought in firefighters and everything else to sweep room from room. And the one place in the entire dorm where the alarm was actually like set up, the speaker and all that, was in front of my door. This was an RORA 714 evening. And I had a couple of beers and slept through. And then when they came to get me and get me out, it wasn't possible to even wake me. And a guy in a really horrific Boston accent said something along the lines of, "This mother effer sleeps like a rock." And that rock thing kind of took from there. And I've never been able to get rid of it. And then it went to Rocco and Rock and Rocco. And yeah. There's a lot of rocks in prison, so everybody like that, because people who sell crack usually end up with a nickname like Rock. So I ended up with Rocco, and that's how most people knew me inside.
Yeah,
and
mine was I grew up in Los Angeles, and I grew up down in the beach area. But during the summer, I'd go stay with my grandmother, and she lived like in East LA, which was mostly Hispanic, and I was like her little white grandson, and so all her friends, and they all called me little Casper, or they Casparin or Cartoonica, which is like the cartoon Casper. Right. And I was I was her favorite Nieto, which is grandson, and so that name just stuck. It didn't really stick with like my lily white friends at the high school, but it stuck in my grandma's neighborhood. Well, when I got older, I spent a lot more time at my grandmother's. I didn't want to live with my parents anymore, and I lived there. And everyone just called me that, and I kind of forgot about that name until I ended up going to prison, and all the Mexican dudes just started calling me Casper, and I was like, "That's crazy. That's what my grandmother and all her friends called me." And they're like, "Well, then that's your name, brother."
There's a lot of Caspers, and here's the other thing too: when you get to prison, no one will ever say to you, "What's your name?" Right? Mm-hmm. They say, "What do they call you?"
Yeah, what do they call you?
You just don't meet a lot of guys that want to, go, "Hey, my name is Tony."
I was hard-headed. That's how I got
mine.
Look
me up when you get out, right?
Yeah, hard-headed.
Yeah, hard-headed. They called me Woody.
Yeah, Woody.
Yeah.
A lot of woods, a lot of Woodies, right?
Yeah. A lot of Castros, a lot of Woodies.
Hey, do you remember Redwood?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good dude. I ran into a bunch of people that knew him, and I got some stories I could tell you about him on the street. Him getting out.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
He was half Indian and half white boy. They called him Redwood.
Dang.
He was great. Best spread ever.
Oh man.
Gosh, man.
All right, look, while you boys are thinking, I'll break the ice.
Okay.
While I was at FCI Tucson, I had a job to push around a former head of a Italian crime family. No joke, real deal. Joel Casey, Joe Waverly. And I was his wheelchair guy. That was my job. And my other job was I worked the deep fryers in the kitchen, which is the greatest job ever, right? The deep fryer, because you can deep fry anything and get paid for it. But they had these pork steaks that they got from Red Robin. Red Robin must have owed him money, like didn't pay taxes. This happens all the time in the feds. McDonald's will dump off French fries and we'll get real McDonald's French fries and stuff like that. So these were already cooked and they were in these little packets. And when we went up there, this old Italian guy, and he was old, he said to me, 26 years, he goes, "That's the first meal I liked in the federal prison." He's like, "I'm not shitting you. That was the only meal." So I went up there and started wrapping those puppies. I had them on both sides of my legs, all the way up, all the way down. I mean, I was the Michelin man. I was leaving with about 60 of those puppies on. And I'm talking 200 days in a row. I walk out of this place and no one touches me. And I'm walking out the door and just doing my thing. And the guy goes, "Hey, Rock." I went, "Oh." I turn around and he goes, "What's up, man?" And he goes to start patting me down, and his hand touches the outside of my leg. And he goes, Is that a shitload of pork on you, or are you happy to see me? And I go, "A little bit of both." And he goes, "Get out of here, man." And I went across the yard like this, dude. But I got back to this old man and said, "Hey, dude, I'm going to cook as many of these things as we can eat. You'll throw the rest of them out." And we did the whole unit, dude. I mean, all you do is take the bag and dump it in boiling water. You know, you keep it in there for 20 minutes, take it out, and it's got all the seasonings on it. That whole unit, man, was eating. Yeah, we got busted, but it was a hell of a good time, man. I got fired the next day. It happens.
If
you keep a job here, you suck anyway.
every different prison I've gone to, and it's a lot. It's all around the country. There's always, someone who's, "Oh, you got to get so and so to cook you this bowl he makes or this," and I was always surprised that I would learn something new. And till the last day I was in there, I learned a new way to cook a ramen or rice or whatever. But down in Texas, there was this what were they called? I can't remember the name of the gang, but the head of their little group, and now I want to remember the name, but anyway, we won't even go there. And he's like, "Man," he's like, "I know you ain't never had one of our strombolis. So I'm gonna make these strombolis before you leave." I was just back on a violation. I was like, "Bet." I was like, "Man, but I've," he's like, "This would be the best thing you've ever had." I'm like, "Man, that's a bold statement." Like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. He's like, I did just come back from Amsterdam. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'll take some of the Mad Men, and so I was like, "All right." And man, he brought me this thing. It was like the size of a Sunday newspaper. And I was like, I go, "Who am I splitting that with?" He's like, "No, that's yours, bro. That's yours." I was like, everybody gets one of these? And he's like, "Yeah." And man, it was just the cheesiest, meatiest, greasiest, most delicious thing I've ever had. And I've tried to recreate it out here and I can't do it. The way they wrapped it and the right amount, ratio to cheese to meat, where it was in the wrap. And it was like 4 tortillas, overlaying each other and then wrapped into one big thing. And the way they made all the tortillas stick together. So it was just one big thing. And the way they cooked it in the newspaper and, they took it out and let it, cool and then threw it back in. And
deep fried it.
Yeah, man, it was the best thing I've ever had.
Yeah.
Best thing I've ever had. Before that, though, the best spread I ever had. There was a Korean cat. He used to make these rice bowls that were just amazing, and with all the different fish and
not Kung Fu Panda, not the card shark, the card thief.
Yeah, it was the card
shark.
Yeah,
he makes a damn good bowl, dude. He's he's vermin.
It sure was him.
Stole $4,000 from me, but he's a hell of a card player.
Yeah.
For real, marking cards in prison, bro. Marking cards in prison. You got to be stone cold crazy.
Yeah.
He's good at it, though. Hey, it's my girlfriend. Reese, how are you? Good to see you. Relatable Reese. Thank you for stopping by, babe. I love it when she
Hi, Reese.
By. Yes, you know everybody. Good. All right, so let's get on with this next one. The spread thing becomes, honestly, it kind of becomes almost religion for some people. Speaking of, there was a guy in Black Canyon for $30. You can't imagine how much money that is in the joint, right? It's a lot of money. But for $30, he would make you a chocolate cheesecake. And you'd get this thing. And they bought me one for my birthday. And I'm like, dude, don't spend $30. Like, you guys are morons. And I got it. And the chocolate is like in layers like this. Like they have whole pieces of chocolate going around it. Like almost looks like a fan on the top. I was like, bro, it's this thick. And I cut it over. He's like, it's really fantastic. He goes, but if you don't eat it in about 30 or 40 minutes, it'll melt. He's like, they don't, they don't stay together. And I gave a slice to everybody. I ended up probably buying 40 of those. I'm not kidding. And then one day I went down and he goes, I can't make another one. He goes, because I didn't get to store. Do you have 2 things of creamer? I'll make it. And I went, do you have two of what? And he's like, non-dairy creamer. And he's like, what do you think I make this out of? I was like, oh my God, dude. I'm eating entire cakes of dairy creamer.
Dairy creamer, yeah.
Dude. What is wrong with you people?
I should make one of those, not the chocolate one. I should make one for my wife just to freak her out.
You know what? You could serve it at any, I promise, any restaurant in the country could serve it until you find out what you're eating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just since we're all friends here, it makes for a very interesting trip to the restroom.
And I always added a little extra lemon so it tasted more like a key lime pie, and then use the graham crackers for the crust instead of whatever else people were using. But yeah, they're really good.
I can't recreate the spreads that we used to have. You try when you get out. Everyone does.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. And
I made wine. Options. I knew I could pull that off. I showed everybody how to make a good batch of wine.
Right.
I know I could pull that off. That's and you know what I did? I took a little yeast. Well, you want to talk about easy? Dump a little yeast in there. No kicker, no problem. How do you override wanting to get to know someone versus the repercussions you might face in the yard, etc.? Tommy, I know you overrode that by becoming friends with Q. But did Russ or Casper? Did you guys ever have friends with somebody way outside the car, different skin color, things like that?
We had respect, but no.
Yeah, most places don't. And I did this at a high custody level too.
Yeah.
If I will say this, just straight up, a lot of things happened to me on this yard where I took stands for the first time in my life because I'd never been that dude before. And they can't. Before I got sober, like when I met him, I was a heroin addict and I was doing a ton of dope every day. And the white guys came in and said, "Hey, you can't buy dope from Mexicans." And I was like, "Okay, right? Who are the white guys? Right? Who do I go buy from?" And they're like, "Oh no, no one is selling the tar. You can get some of the, and they list off everything else." I'm like, "Well, that doesn't help. I'll be needing the tar." And they were like, "No, you can't buy it from them." And I just said to them, I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to go buy it from them right now. So you guys can come on down to my cell and we'll figure it out because I'm not going to stop buying it from them. So we're going to have to figure something out." And they kicked the shit out of me. I mean, they came in, they won't hit you above the necks. They don't want to, they don't want marks or whatever, but they came in 3 or 4 deep and thumped the crap out of me. And I literally walked right down to the shot caller and said, "And now I got to go get 100 paper to deal with the frickin', right, the injuries and everything else you just caused. So send them back down, right? I'm going to keep doing this." And it took about a week. And I peed a little blood, but you kind of got to take a stand. And with Q, I was blessed, and you don't have to believe in the things that I believe, but everything fell into place. It couldn't have happened on any other yard, right? He said to me, "Look, man, get down there at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day and show up there at Unicorn. Be there every single day at 5 o'clock in the morning with an application." I said, "I already gave him an application." He said, "Have another one. And when you see someone run out the door yelling and cursing, walk up and go, 'I got it.'" And I did that every single day. But once I got that job, they moved me into a unit. And I was sitting down watching TV, and he came and sat down next to me. And I was like, holy shit, right? We're going to get it. This is going to go all bad. Like, knives are coming out. There's a black dude sitting in the white dude. And he goes, "Oh, we don't do that in here." He's like, "We're all factory workers. Nobody plays any of those games. I can't eat after you." Right. Like super obvious stuff. He's like, but no, you can sit wherever you want here. Nobody. So I never would have been able to do the things, no matter how much I wanted to. Like if it had been at Mainline Victorville, they'd have killed me within the first 2 days of hanging out with them. For real. And when we were on the yard, we'd be 30 feet apart from one another and acting like we weren't friends. It's just how it had to be. But when I was at work or I was in the unit, we were away from every other, like the white boys ain't ratting you out because they're doing whatever they want in there. And the black dudes ain't ratting out their guys because they're doing whatever they want. Very different when you're in a factory kind of a situation. It never would have worked on another yard.
Yeah.
They'd have killed him too, for the record. It wouldn't have just been white dudes. The black guys would have been just as.
There would have been a big issue. There would have been definitely a big issue on the yard between people.
And how? Altogether, I did with county jail and all that about 15-ish, right around 15, 13 in the penitentiaries. What about you guys?
Just about
that too.
Yeah, between 18 and 20, including the violations. Took me 10 years to do, 5 years federal paper. So
I brag about that to everybody, just for the record.
You beat the paper?
I did.
What's that?
My friend took 10 years to clean up a 3-year tail. Ouch!
Yeah. It sucks,
I maxed out. Yeah, I maxed out. So I took.
They won't do that, bro. They won't do that.
They wouldn't let me. Yeah. And I begged them to. I begged them to, and
I had a steroid friend, the biggest dude you ever saw. Like, you ever seen what one of those competition weightlifters look like when they're not yoked up? Yeah. Like when they're not getting cut, they're just 500 pounds. They're the biggest dudes in the world. And then they get in and start lifting and get cut up. And so when I got him as a celly, I was like, oh my God. He was terrifying. He came in at right toward the end of my stay at Lewisburg. Dude, they bring him in, and I just said, "Are you shitting me? Dude, I got 3 weeks left in here." I said to the captain, "I'm like, if this dude gets rowdy," he goes, he is a teddy bear. He's the coolest guy in the world." He showed me his paperwork first, but there's no picture. I'm just reading it. I'm like, "Yeah, he's cool. Bring him on down." I'm like, "Holy hell, get him out of here!" Like, I'm not taking this dude. But he got in, and it was the same thing. He said, "I got 3 years for juice. That's all he got." Right? He got caught bringing steroids into the United States across the Canadian border, and the Mexican border. They gave him 3 years. He had been working on that for 17 years. And he goes, "Well, I leave here in 2.5 months." I said, "What are you going to do?" He goes, "I'm going to go to TJ. I'm going to get a bag. I'm going to start partying." I'm like, "Oh, right. You couldn't hold off for 1.5 years, get off paper, and then go do whatever you want." He can't do it. You know, he's just one of those guys.
It was so
and they'll
hard,
never,
man.
Till you get clean, you can do this for the rest of your life, and they'll let you. And each time you go in, the judge will go, "Start the 3 years again. Start the 3 years again." They're never going to go, "Okay, tap out. We'll just let him go." Doesn't work. Like
yeah.
I couldn't do that.
No.
I begged her too, man. I on my hands and knees and begged her.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy.
This is can inmates be allowed musical instruments inside? That is
guitars with a missing string.
Other than harmonicas. I wish I would have seen a harmonica in there. That would have been badass.
You did.
I've seen him.
Who?
I've seen him.
The guy that remember Lumpy?
Oh yeah.
Lumpy played it. He gave it to me. I was looking for it on the desk. I've got Lumpy's. Yeah. He gave me his when he left. The guy that
Jason
T90X.
Shimada had a harmonica too.
There's like 6 guys there that had them. There's a bunch.
Have you ever seen Jason? Not to change the subject. Do you ever seen Jason Shimada do the cooking? You know, like on the Japanese grill thing?
Yeah. What's the name of that restaurant? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I used to go there for all my birthdays.
Benihana.
Yeah, Benihana's.
Yeah. The guy's a beast. He also can crack your back like nobody else in history. Like if you had I said to him one day, we were out there, I just done P90. I'm like, "Dude, my back." He goes, "Come here, man." I said, "What's up?" He's like, "Turn around." And he didn't grab me, didn't do anything. He just went, and everything just popped. I went, "Dude." He goes, "You're good." I'm like, "Man,
his dad was a
feeling
pretty
in the hand
magician in Vegas. Yeah. But I've never been anywhere where you were actually allowed to have an instrument in your house.
No.
But
I've never been in a prison where you can have them. But you can have them in a music room. All of the federal places I've been, I think all of them actually have a music room. And you could buy a Fender Stratocaster if you wanted it, but it's going to stay right there. You can never take it out. You can never, do anything with it outside that room. And there were some incredible bands. Honestly, there were some guys that really, really got good practicing together. Usually not my kind of music, but stuff that was really, really tight. And here locally on the 4th of July, they had 6 bands that played like one after the other. And it was, there was a Tejano band and there were some people that did some rap, and it was pretty wild. It really was. Skin flute. Yeah. There's a lot of that going on. That's getting played. I'm not going to lie to you.
The 1-string banjo.
The 1-string banjo. How do you not lash out irrationally when someone has a weird deep throat clearing, hacking up a lung habit, lip smacking or teeth sucking?
You don't. You actually just lash out irrationally.
What makes you think that they would? No. What happens? Honestly, tell me you have not said to a cellmate, "Hey, bro, you're going to learn to chew with your mouth shut, or I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
I guarantee you, everybody here has said that. You get a 17-year-old that comes in and goes, you're like, "No, not going to happen, dude. It's a small cell. We're not doing it."
I had a celly that would sneeze. He was one of those, like, just out of nowhere, like, "Wacko!" Just real loud, where you would like, "Well, dude, stop me." I jumped down, like, "Dude, that's it, bro."
Yep.
I'm heated just thinking about him, dude.
No, that's the worst.
That's it, bro.
It really is. It's the worst.
Sneeze like that again, dude. I promise you. Dude, I pray that you sneeze like that one more time, dude.
Yep. No, this is horrible. This is honestly the most dangerous thing in prison. Is exactly what you're describing. I am not joking. It is the most dangerous thing in prison. My first cellmate, when I was willing to do anything to get into that the workers' dorm. anything. That's where Q was. I was going to be able to work on sobriety and work them out. So they said to me, hey, there's this cell open. Dude's Mexican. Now, he's the kind of Mexican a white boy can live with because there's a distinction. But anyway, he's the kind of guy that we have permission to live with. And I'm like, sight unseen. I go, I'll take him. Right? No problem. And the day I walked in, people were like, bro. I'm like, don't tell me. He goes, no, he's a great dude. Good paperwork. I'm like, what's the problem? They're like, wait till you hear him sleep. And I mean, the people in the cells next to him were writing complaints. Now, I mean, we had earplugs, we had everything because we worked at a factory. So I'd be jamming these things in there, but I made it 9 days. And I went down to the caseworker. I'm like, you can put me back on my other unit, bro. I can't do this. And I'm going to hurt this guy. I'm going to end up hurting this guy because I can't sleep. And the same day, a guy dropped a hot. Dude in there dropped a hot. And I was like, yeah, I got a new cell. Perfect. Work out. That's right. Get your drunk ass out of here. No, that's a violent thing.
Yeah, I've heard dudes snoring down in other cells. I mean, man, that poor bastard that lives with that guy, man.
My email address is my name, TommyScoville@gmail.com. Please do. How does contraband get into prisons? Which one of you wants to start on that?
Well, I mean, the guards visit.
That's the easiest, right?
You know,
easiest way is the guards.
If you're a lower level, but people can drop it off with, tennis balls, handballs.
I hate lower
man, I mean, of course, through the visiting, people can put it in the food that they buy you, and you can eat it and swallow it, and then, dig it out of your feces.
Yep. Casper can get it mailed in from the street.
And get it mailed in from the street.
With some cell phones.
And some cell phones.
Doing big things. Here's a good
tennis balls over the fence.
Tennis balls over the fence. Like right here, the local FCI, the road and the fence are 4 feet from one another. I'm not kidding you, man. It takes just a flip and you're good to go. And then the morning crew goes out and picks up the tennis ball with a razor blade slice in the side, and inside will be a ton of dope. That's very popular. And then books. Back in the day, you would go into Barnes and Noble, or you'd go into one of these booksellers and reverse steal a book. In other words, you buy it on a Monday and take it home, right? And then you take the thing apart and you slide in whatever you're going to get into the spine, and you get it put back perfect. Now you stick it down your pants and walk in with into the store with the book. Get all slick and pull it back out and go up to the counter to buy it again. Now, when it comes time to buy it, you say, oh, I want you to send this to an inmate. And you instantly open the first page and write, to Casper. Keep your head up, bro. Don't drop the soap, Tommy. Now they can't just pick a local store and buy the same book and not have to mail it, right? Yeah. So they're going to take that, put it in plastic and mail it. Now, it came from a bookseller. So the prison used to go, oh, cool, and pass it right on. That's a wrap. They learned that one. Can't get away with that one anymore. There was ceramics. If you happen to have a place where there's a ceramic shop, you build a beautiful thing out of ceramic and say, I want to send this home. You send it home, and they call you 2 weeks later and go, return to sender, bro. There's no longer anybody at that address. Oh, bummer. What happened is your friends took it, pulled it out, filled it up with dope, put it back in, right? Got it all put back together and sent it back. And then when you get it, they open it up, they look at it, and they hand it back to you. Sorry about that. Yeah, it is what it is. There's a ton of these people have all day long to come up with ways to get dope, right? All day long. It's all they do. When I was at Lewisburg, in fact, let me see if we can. So I showed you the picture earlier, right, of Home Sweet Home here at Lewisburg, but right up here. So we would go from this window, right, to this window on the outside of the building. And what happens is there are holes in the screen where guys have basically blown holes in the mesh screen on the outside of the building, right? Goodness, where am I? On the outside of the building. So they will shoot, right, with a makeshift bow and arrow, a piece of newspaper twisted up with a string on it. And you put yours out the window, this long pole, and when it comes across your crap, and you pull it in. And I remember looking at my cellie going, you dummy, you could do that for the next 6 months, man. You're never going to be able to catch that thing. And all of a sudden he's like, dude, I got it. Now you're rolling up your stamps and sending it over so you can get the dope back. I couldn't believe the things that people do to get fish through the toilets, like in the snow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're buying dope upstairs, 9 cells over on the other side.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Dirty fishing. Ooh.
Yeah. I've fished through many a toilet.
Yeah. We fished off the. You ever fished off the tier?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The second one, go down to the third or whatever. Or,
Got book out. So you make your car, and when you're going in, you make sure you got a little ramp so that you can hit that thing and it will jump and fly down. And then you go, little help. And your homeboys will catch it, pull it in. Where's it headed?
Yeah.
The first time I walked into a federal prison, it looked like a friggin' trawler.
Spider web.
What the hell is going on around here?
And everybody will help you just a bit, just to pass time. It's a lot of fun.
When I was one of the funniest things in the SMU, because it's a huge ass tier, halfway down that tier is a fire door, right? So in case there's a fire, it'll automatically well, your car's not going to get by it. There's just no way because the door comes out a little bit. It's a smaller deal. So if you're in that cell, you got to catch you got to sit at the door. I'm not joking, for 21 days. And when the car comes up, you got to catch it and throw it down the hall for the guy because no one's going to get by there. And you're all day just doing it. And I remember thinking, man, I ain't doing this. And the whole guy was like, if you don't, no one's going to do it for you when you need to get by there to get your dope or whatever you're going down. Rival gangs. Straight up. Like the guys from up north and the guys from down south will be passing each other's crap because there's no other option, man.
Tit for tat.
Did you ever get state or fed? Remember the state soap, Tommy?
Oh, yeah.
Little tiny bars.
Yeah, Bob Barker.
We'd throw them out all the way through the building, all the way to the other side. I mean, you're talking 150-foot line. Oh yeah, it worked great.
Oh yeah.
Our cars were 3 to 6, depending on size, 3 to 6 batteries stitched inside a piece of plastic from a shampoo bottle. And then you'd put a car on the top at a road and track or whatever. And about 160 feet of line is what you needed at Lewisburg. To go from one side to the other is 160 feet. So you'd be spinning the line all day.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I did a lot of that. Hold on a second here. And that is how it gets in there. Does the Nightyard show help you heal from the trauma of prison, or does it trigger bad memories, or perhaps both? You know what? We all get a pretty good laugh out of this, I think. We're a unique crew. This is my opinion anyway. We are a unique crew. Most guys that get out fail. Sadly, the truth. So if you're out and you're able to keep your head above water, for me, like I remember getting out and saying to people, I would not watch a prison show for $100,000. Like, why would I watch a prison show? I watch prison shows, and I don't know whether it's because there's something. I mean, it's just a part of your life that no one else can relate to. So when you get, they can listen to it, but unless you've kind of been there and done it, it's such a bizarre world. I mean, most people think you're full of shit when you tell a story anyway. Some of the crazy ones, like Snow. Yeah, they got really heated at the guy, so they removed his head, put it on the bunk. Right? Like people, no, that happened.
No, it did. Yeah, it sure did.
Put a few spikes in his eyes just just because it looked a better picture.
But it definitely doesn't trigger me. And I would say it's helped. I've been doing it for just a few weeks now, and it's been nice. It's been nice catching up with Tommy. Nice meeting Russ, and I think it's helped me remember where I came from, where I don't want to come back, and I just think, God's timing is always perfect, and I'm going through some things in my life right now, nothing too terrible. I mean, I'm just grateful to be alive and grateful that I have my beautiful little family. But this happened right on time for me. It happened right on time. Starting to feel a little ungrateful or not practicing gratitude every day. And since doing this, I've been practicing gratitude again and just thinking back to, of that I don't ever have to go back there. And so it's been nice. I'm grateful.
I think there's also something really unique about what it is that we do, right? Because when we come together to do this, you people come here, right? And you listen and you ask questions and you're interested and you're respectful. And we're not used to this at all. When you
No,
tell
that
somebody
was
you're a
the way to
convict, you get
put it out
shit
there.
on.
What the heck?
Yeah, you get treated really poorly when you tell someone that you've been to prison. So to have a group of people that celebrate that you're out and doing well, that are interested in what you survived, kind of validates your life a little bit. You know what I mean? I avoided doing prison content, like really avoided it, because I didn't really want to become that kind of a channel. And I'll tell you right now, there's prison content that I watch, and there's some that I'm getting to the point where I'm not 100% sure I'm comfortable watching anymore. You know, for real. I don't want it glamorized. I don't want it to look cool.
Me either.
In all honesty, it's not. It's we laugh, but usually someone will get to a question where you're going to understand how ugly it was. Like we can laugh about the stuff. And when you leave prison, it's a really weird phenomenon, because the stuff that made you miserable, you do everything within your power to stop thinking about it as quick as you can. And you begin to bury it and bury it. And what's left, it's like a drug addict, right? The longer you're sober, the more you only remember being high and having a good time, right? You don't remember waking up in the morning, right, sick as hell, needing to go steal $700 before noon so that you don't get sick. And sometimes going to meetings and listening to other people reminds you of where you were, and you go, geez, I'm never doing it again. Well, this kind of stuff very often, kind of reminds me of that too. There'll be a question that someone will ask and they'll say, I hope this didn't hurt your feelings. And it's always the best questions, right? The ones that almost hurt your feelings. You remember a lot of the laughs, because prison is laughing until it's horror. Everybody trying to keep everybody laughing because it's depressing until it breaks off, and then it's just scary. So you remember more of either the funny or the horrifying, and the mundane dragging on that never stops. You tend to forget about, I think. It's interesting to do this.
I just remember, everything being so tense. On a level 3, level 4 yard, you're just always on edge.
Yeah, your vagus nerve is kicked on from the day you get there until the day you walk out.
Yep.
Yeah, which is just wrong. But
and you look back, I see shows on TV about prisons now that I was in back then. And I'm like, wow, it wasn't like that back then. It just amazes me, and they don't show you the real prison anyway.
Right.
Why is prison so divided by ethics? After prison, does that carry out onto the street, or is it life back to normal? It's okay to be around all walks of life. Thanks. Well, when you get outside, if there's a guy somewhere near you who you think has touched a kid, right? You can, or you think doesn't treat women well, you don't have to go anywhere near this person ever again. In prison, you're trapped where you have to live, right, for the rest of your sentence or your life or whatever it is. So if they bring somebody in and you're like, I got to do time for robbing a bank, I got to do time for running guns or doing whatever, I got to live next to a guy that did this to a kid, it's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen because you've already taken away my freedom. So that's not going to happen. I'll just go hurt this dude and you can put it on my tab. I think the reason that happens is not because once they get there, they find ethics. It's that a large amount of us were in some way or another molested as a kid, right? That's what sends a lot of people to prison. So there's a lot of really hateful memories. So when someone comes in for a crime that you didn't get to punish the person that did you like that, there's a really good chance that that's going to come out on these people. And I think that that's really what we see more than anything. And most guys get back out and instantly go back to crime. It's been my experience. About 8 out of 10 go right back to what they were doing before they went in, because they don't know anything else. They don't teach you anything else, right? You're not rehabilitated. You're just warehoused.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I'm curious if he meant ethics or ethnic. Ethnics.
If it's ethnics, that's just, they do that.
Or by race,
the prison does that. The prison doesn't want us getting along.
No.
Yeah.
If they can keep us fighting amongst each other, right, then they can just sit back and watch. If everybody got along, then there's 1,300 people on every yard that are pissed off at the staff. If not, you got 300 white dudes, 400 black guys, some Mexican dudes, some Native Americans, right? And everybody's beefing, and they can just sort of sit back and watch us kill each other, and they like it that way.
It's a moneymaker.
That is. They're not. We don't segregate ourselves, whether you believe it or not. We don't.
No.
Like if you walked into a federal prison today and just went and dropped butt in the black section, it wouldn't be a black guy that said, what the hell are you doing? A cop would come over and grab you within 2 seconds and go, yo, bro, what are you doing? I promise. It definitely, like even in the SMU where you cannot get out of your cell for any reason. These two guys came in on the bus and the guy said, hey man, I'd like to live with this dude. We came in. The guy goes, you gonna live with a black guy? He said, yeah, no, nope, not gonna happen. No freaking way. Who's next? Like they're not even entertaining that because they know what'll happen. It's gonna cause, but that is created not by us. I promise. That's created by them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely them. They like it that way. They don't want us, if we're pissed at black and we're pissed at white, then we're all not pissed at who's ever wearing blue, right? Or green or whatever they're wearing at your. But yeah, it's a way of controlling us. And you know what? It shouldn't be a shocker because they're trying to do it to all of you on the street too. Okay? You voted for this guy or you voted for that gal. You need to hate each other. If they can divide people, the more they divide, the easier it is to control us. It's no different. Prison is just a microcosm, I promise. Do you think people in prison are using drones? Sure, until they don't. Right?
Don't answer this question. This chick's crazy, man. This chick's crazy. No, it's my wife.
Well, they did it at Victorville.
They sure did.
At Victorville, and then they came up with a machine. So if you're flying your drone in, it'll just go gash. And it gets right there and drops. And they're doing this at all of the places, making it real hard to fly.
And here's the crazy thing. The one place I was at where they did use a drone to drop something in and it got busted. And the warden at Mainline's like, you guys are idiots. You guys are using drones to fly. And the guy had flown in an iPad just full of porn. And what else? Something dumb. It wasn't dumb. It wasn't any. It was no drugs, and it was not. It wasn't a key. A handcuff key or a key to the.
Got a vape.
Yeah, it was the dumbest. He was like, "Yeah, you guys are idiots, man." Yeah.
The trouble is, if somebody drops in a handgun, right? I mean, you could have some very serious problems. Do you know that in 2016 that guns were smuggled into a federal prison twice? True story. They got them. And do you know in both cases, a man used the weapon to shoot the boyfriend of his boyfriend?
Yeah.
Swear to you. Yeah. You got a weapon and you think, you know what? Thank you. No, I don't want to leave. But that guy that's messing with my boyfriend, I'm taking him out.
And they're pretty serious about that too, because just real quick about guns and bullets and stuff. Because someone tried to get me off a yard one time and dropped a kite on me and said that I had bullets in my cell.
Oh,
and they came deep and hard and fast, and it was like I was like, "What the heck?" It was like 4:30 in the morning, and man, it was crazy. They had guys come in, from the SORT team, and I was like, "What the heck?" And they questioned. I was in the hole for 2 months, and once they realized what it really was, and they and I knew exactly who it was, and guess who got to stay and guess who got to leave,
right?
Yeah,
that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
that's the way it should be. Do our guards ever get caught and convicted? Can I say this guy's name, you think? Probably not. I can tell you the name of a guy that I punched in the face. I punched a guard in the face, and then he got caught afterwards bringing in dope and a cell phone, and he went to federal prison. In fact, he went to Black Canyon. He went to the cheese factory. How bad has that got to be, right?
Oh, they sent him to the cheese factory?
They sent him to the prison he worked at. He went right back to the prison he worked at. That's got to be a tough gig right there.
Yeah.
But they did know it happens all the time. And you know how it happens? The term is turning someone out for a reason, right? It starts out with this guy can make a ton of money. He's just got to do one load. He brings this in, and somebody on the street hands him $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever to bring in a big ass clavo, and you make a fortune or whatever. And then you go, hey, let's do another one. If he says no, they're just going to tell on him. Right? If he says no, he's told on. And they're going to keep bringing it in, and they're going to keep bringing it in. And the first time they argue about price, the first time that the stuff doesn't weigh, the first time that the stuff isn't strong, they're going to turn on the cop. They got nothing to lose. And they can probably get time off their sentence for turning them in. And it's the dumbest thing in the world that a cop could do, but they do it anyway, which is kind of incredible.
It is incredible.
But it does happen. It happens a lot.
My pension.
I know.
And God forbid you do it with a woman, right? If you get a woman turned out who brings something in, she's going to yell R. Happens every single time. And the guy's going to get more time every time.
Yep.
What do you think the punishment? Oh, they should kill them.
Yeah, kill them.
Yeah. No reason to put them on an island.
Castrate them first. Send that to their family or whoever.
Have it grown.
I'm sorry. And if this bums anybody out, science will tell you they can't be rehabilitated.
No.
So what we do is we warehouse these people just long enough to send them back out to hurt more people. We either give them life sentences or we remove them from Earth. right? Or we figure out a way to go into their brain and fix it, because currently there's just no hope, and that's unfortunate. And I don't make friends with that, but it's a fact. It really is. The wood chipper, I'll go with the wood chipper. That works for me. I had a trustee in the trustee pod next to the girls' pod. Yeah, slip a note in your laundry one time telling me that he could get me stuff if I needed it. Yeah, that happens.
Trustee in the trustee pod next to the girls' pods.
Yeah, she was next to a guy's pod, and the trustee got over a letter, said, "Hey, if you need anything, hon, yeah."
Oh, heck yeah. Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? I got a letter from a girl. I shouldn't say this because it's a small city that I was from. But a girl in a pod next to me sent a letter over, and it was so funny because the letter got intercepted. It never got to me, right? And but I happened to be the porter, so it looked like it was going to me. And the guy called me and he goes, "You want to tell me about this sexy woman?" And I go, "She's hot?" And he goes, "No, that's her name. Her name is Sexy." I swear to God. I go, "I don't know this person." Like, honest, I was bringing out all I was supposed to do was hand her a vacuum cleaner, and the vacuum cleaner came back with something in it. And but it happens all the time. They're always trying to communicate. Get a pen pal. Right? They're going to write to them their entire sentence. I don't do any of that crap. I never did any of the pen pal.
I never did.
I have time for that. But yeah, it happens a lot. Or you talk, like when you're going through Oklahoma City, you can talk to them through the shower vents. Like if you're in the hole, you can always talk to the chick through the shower because they're directly below the guys. How often are your kites used, and are they considered contraband? Yeah. If you get caught, kites are no good. They're all bad. And anytime you have to get some information to somebody, and very often, like if you're on a yard that's active, you kind of take turns being the cool dude, because a guy will get popped and go to the hole, and you know that he's got a habit, and this guy's going to get back there sick as hell. And the shot caller, like when I was at Victorville, the shot caller would come up and go, "How'd you like to make a few grams?" And I go, "Sure. What do I got to do?" And he's like, "You got to hoop this stuff and bring it to the hole." I'm like, "Done." And then they give it to you, and you just walk into someone else's unit and sit down and watch TV and wait for the cop to come up and go, "What are you doing? Catching a movie? What are you doing?" "Put your hands behind your back." "Okay." And they know what you're doing. What are you bringing back there? Kite? No. I'll see a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, kites are used constantly, and you don't want them to get caught, right?
There was unlimited kites coming into our cell because of my celly.
Oh, I would imagine.
All the time.
If you're living with the shot collar, it's got to be awful.
Crazy.
How do you hide contraband? Not very effectively, unfortunately. What's amazing is how good they are at finding the stuff. Like for real, it's amazing. But you can also get screwed. This is a true story. They did a tear down at Victorville after the warden got cut. They went in and went bat crap crazy. You've never seen anything like it. They cut the mattresses open. Like it was insane. They just trashed everything. And they came out of my room with a bone crusher. Dude, the guy comes walking out with it. I'm like, "The hell is that?" And he goes, "You want to tell me?" I'm like, "Dude, where was that?" And he's like, "Behind your locker." Now you got to know what a locker's like. I'm like, how would I have gotten that? Like, if I needed it, it took you guys with tools and all that. I'm like, that wasn't mine. And I actually was the only case I ever won. I went all the way in there and just said, "Dude, there's no way. Like, look at where that was." I went in my cell and searched it. As soon as you go in, the first thing you do is look to make sure you didn't get something left behind because it'll be yours. I mean, I tore that thing apart, but they're so small. It's like, what does it come out to be? 80 something square feet. Not big. There's not a lot of room, to hide stuff. If you want to keep it, right? Sorry. If you want to keep it, you keep it on you or in you. Kind of the only way that you're keeping anything is if it's tucked up in the old prison purse.
Yeah, the prison wallet.
Can you remind me of what the ink is in prison tattoos? Just my opinion. It just seems sketch. Well, this will make it a lot easier for you. You take a jar of Vaseline, right, or hair gel, or bergamot, one of my favorites because it has a really nice scent when it burns, and you make a candle out of it. So you take a Coke can, cut the top of it off, pack it with this stuff, put a wick in the middle, which is just line that you spin, and then you light that. And it starts to burn just like a candle would. And over the top of it, you put something to catch all that smoke. And it creates this black soot that gathers on the top of it. And then you scrape all that off. And that is what is going to become the ink. And the darker you cook the stuff, the more of this you put in, the more soot that goes into the bottle, the darker the ink will be. And then I make it and I deliver it to somebody like Casper, and he goes and drops one drop of it in the toilet and waits to see what happens with the ink. And either says, this stuff sucks, I don't want it, or he gives me $150. Because guys like Casper don't want to make it. They're lazy.
Yeah, I sure don't, man. Or else I
Keep it
make it
real.
constantly.
Because it's around the clock. That was
I
my
got
house.
enough stuff going on, man. I got to build machines. And I got to buy clippers and.
That was my last hustle.
Hiding
I didn't want to break any
too
rules.
much.
I didn't want to have a gambling table because it was going to get people hemmed up. I was trying to be a good dude. So my entire last rip, all I did was burn soot and make ink. A lot of it. And it was dark. Look at that, dude. That's all those years later, man. I made dark ink. I put a lot of pride into it.
How many
I also
years
made
ago
my own ink. You know what I mean?
did you get that?
What's that?
Yeah. How many years ago did you get that?
15, 20,
And
something
it's
like
still
that.
that dark. That's pretty good.
Still that dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really dark stuff. Everybody loved it. I got a lot of cash out of that stuff. I did pretty well.
Yeah.
You know what? I was blessed. My family was always great. You know, my brother said to me, I'm not going to look at you in a cage. I'll see you when you get out. I can't do it. He was always there if I needed him, but he didn't want to come up there. And I completely understand that. You know what I mean? But all of them said the same thing, man. You know what? When you get out, we're going to act like it didn't happen. And we're going to hope that this time takes. I've been blessed more than any convict in the world. My family was incredible. I've been blessed that way. And I'm blessed that my girlfriend knows my entire history and doesn't judge me for it, which is an odd thing too. You know what I mean? It's the hardest part of the gig is how people look at you when they find out you're a convict, and that doesn't go away. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really just liked hearing. Yeah, my mom wrote me for the first time, and I hadn't heard from her in years, and I hadn't talked to her in a couple years when I was out, and she wrote me out of the blue, and she just was telling me that she loved me, and that she feels a little responsible, for the way things turned out, and I appreciated that, even though none of it was her fault, or no matter. I had a great childhood. We moved around a lot. My parents were divorced on and off, but that's standard. For almost everyone probably listening, watching, participating, and but I really appreciated just her not just coming down on me about it.
Right? No judgment.
That she didn't say, I'm embarrassed to be your mom, because that's the letter I would expect from my mother.
Right.
And she didn't do that. So
yeah, that's a blessing.
Just that I love you and not saying anything negative was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom took care of me too. That's the only person I ever really stayed in contact with, but she would send me money, of course, the quarterly packages. So
shut up with your quarterly packages.
Yeah,
dude. I don't need to hear what your friggin' quarterly packages,
You're breaking
dude.
up, Russ. You're breaking up.
It's getting a little old, dude.
Yeah.
It's getting a little old. I'm a little tired of that
there.
crap, dude. Pimping in your jeans. I don't want to hear about that stuff.
Yeah.
Go to the feds. It's so much better in the feds.
Yeah.
Club Fed. Yeah.
Come on by.
Yeah.
I was so
Club
salty.
fucked.
I got there, I'm like, Club what?
Yeah.
You lied to me. You absolutely lied to me. Was Neutraloaf ever served? Hello.
Yeah.
So let me tell you my Neutraloaf story. They came down and said, we think you're having a relationship with your attorney that isn't appropriate, right? Meaning love, not touching, but that we had. And I went, that's insane. That's my attorney. There's nothing more than that. Oh, this is a client. And they go, oh, because we just left her house and she said she wanted to marry you. I was like, well, I'll be damned. All right, then. I go, yeah, but we're not. And I was in the hole in 2 seconds. Like they took me to the hole and instantly put on Neutraloaf. So what it is everything you're going to eat all day long, put into this little pan with a bunch of grease, and they cook it into a loaf of bread. It'll have corn. It'll have,
Potatoes.
whatever they're cooking,
Yeah.
right? Meat. It's the grossest crap. It's so bad. It's so bad. But I had 30 days of that. And at the third meal, I was like, you know what? No. So I took my shoe off and I decided that I was going to break the sprinkler head off of the wall. If you've not done that, I recommend you don't. They put this fire retardant in there, right? You'll hear guys say it's stagnant water. What it is there's a fire retardant that's in there for like the first 80 feet of the pipe or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it stinks worse than anything on planet Earth. And I'm hitting this thing. I'm like, I can't believe how hard this is to do. Like everybody tells stories about it being easy, and I'm cracking this thing. And when it came off, I got a stream of water this big that hit me in the chest. And when they came by, it was flooding the cell and it just stunk. And he goes, "We'll be back in about 15, 20 minutes. Chill here." Dude, it was October in Nevada. My teeth were chattering and the cell was just flooding. And they put me on 30 more days of Nutriloaf. I did 60 days of that garbage.
Jeez, man.
Yep. And I lost a ton of weight.
I was at a spot where the Nutriloaf was better than the food because they didn't use the food itself. They just had like this like pre-made thing that you would get, and that was the hack. The hack was like, no, you tried to get on that, but you really had to act out and do stuff. But I just I held my trays hostage, a couple of times in a row, and finally the captain says, that's it, you're going on the loaf. And I was just like, no, man, I ain't going on the loaf.
Right.
It's like, no, you're going on the loaf. And man, I was so happy because they
Can't
had to
believe
put protein in it, and
it was. I don't care. It's so hard to get down.
But there was protein, and it was
everything your body needed.
Yeah, it got you it filled you.
Analytical Barney says, "Nope, I won't be having that in there." Well, here's the funny thing, right? If you go back far enough, that is what they used to make ink out of. I mean, they've gotten smarter, but the start of Tattoo Ink was here's the crazy thing: it will make you sick. Will it not? You get a big enough tattoo. The first time they drilled this in, because we were covering stuff up, and the first time dude put this in, I immediately got sick. From that stuff. I did. And I watched the guy get a back piece, and he was sick for like 3 days, but there was a lot, and it was my stuff, but there was so much of it on his back. It was just stupid, man. Yeah. Nutriloaf was the worst thing that I ever ate. As far as I ate a lot of bad food in the feds, but Nutriloaf was just, and I ate a lot of it. It really did. A lot. They also would take away it before you went to Nutriloaf, because that was the worst of the punishment. They would take away all of my linens at 6 o'clock in the morning and not bring them back until midnight. So you couldn't lay down. There was no mattress. There was no nothing. I got in good shape though.
Yeah.
Nothing else going on, man. I got in good shape.
How many times somebody set your ink after a new
tattoo?
Once. Yeah. My mother did that to me once.
You know what though? I've done it to so many people. Oh my God, I've done it to so many people. Hey, he said it. He didn't. Yeah. And then if you really got to do it, you got to do it right. Yeah. Do you have any? You got any of that Saran wrap? Go get some Saran wrap. Bring it back here. I'll set that.
Yep. Some kids were talking about that at my shop the other day. They were just youngsters, never been to prison or anything. I was like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah.
I just want to tell Margie Barr. Yeah, I totally agree with that, Margie. She's a different woman now. Absolutely.
Who is? What did I miss?
It was something somebody said to him.
Yeah, I just looked over and I never do that, and I just happened to, and I seen it.
Yeah. All right, then. Good for you, man. Good for you, man. You haven't heard Nutriloaf in decades. Yeah, no, the Nutriloaf's really foul. But there's you were in for were you in for the liver?
Me?
Were you in the feds when they were doing liver?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I ate everybody's liver. I was taking liver back for liver sandwiches the next day.
I don't know.
Man.
Yeah.
Who are you, man?
You're right. Sauerkraut.
You could smell it. You could smell the whole prison smell like liver on liver days. I'd be walking the yard at lunch and start to smell the dinner cooking, and I'd be like, yes, liver day.
I couldn't eat that liver for, like, honest to God, I couldn't have done it for a gate pass. I could not have kept that stuff down if you told me you would have let me out.
Yeah.
That was so good.
I was every other Sunday, and they did it for years in the feds. I remember going down on the second Sunday, like it should have been, and I walked in and they were having some casserole or whatever. I'm like, why are we not having a guy's like, yeah, we pulled it off the menu. Guys were dancing in the chow hall, screaming at the top of their lungs. The other one that's really bad is they got on this tear in the feds where they were buying fake fish. Do you remember this? They were doing Fish Fridays, and they were buying this imitation crab meat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working in the kitchen, and we were throwing out about 350 pounds of it a week. Like nobody ate it. Nobody. Like Fish Friday, 9 guys walked through the line. There would be nobody there.
So what's it, like a patty or something?
It looks like it's pink and white and shredded, right? And it's just the fishiest, most foul, disgusting. They call it crab meat. It's not crab meat. It's it's chum is what it is. It's
okay.
Chum. It is. I'm sorry. It's chum.
Yeah.
What was your least favorite fish in there?
Oh, me? Or him?
I liked all the fish. I mean, of course, I didn't like all the brine and the salt in the Jack Mac, that we bought. But like what they served, I don't know. I liked all the fish.
Yeah,
I'm institutionalized when it comes to food.
No, you are absolutely institutionalized, bro. You're literally talking about having a cast iron stomach. Nobody can eat that stuff, dude. You're the first person in all of my time to say, "Oh, I like that liver."
Yeah.
No one ate that, bro. Nobody.
Oh man, it was so good.
Yeah. Nobody ate that in the state either.
Yeah. Dude,
my dad made me eat liver as a kid. My dad's an old hillbilly. He made me eat liver as a kid, and I loved it then. And
Holly Dennison, what you just stumbled into is called Nightyard. My name is Tommy Scoville. That is my friend Sam Yarborough. We call him Casper. Down below is my friend Russ. Russ did time in California in the state prison system there, where he lived with a shot collar and did nice time where he got packages every 3 or 4 months and had a television set. Casper and I, on the other hand, lived in the federal system where you get nothing but a great big FU every single morning, noon, and night for the duration of your sentence. Good times, good times.
Yeah,
we're not saying that you had it easier, but let's just revisit here real quick. That is what Casper and I called home sweet home. In fact, I'm not even joking. That literally is what we called home sweet home.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you pull one up out of the state?
What's that? You know what? I don't know that I could. All of the ones so that's the corner shot when you pull up at Lewisburg. That wall you're looking at is 25 feet high, and it is the longest freestanding wall anywhere in America. And there is no bigger freestanding wall for a prison anywhere. It touches no building. That thing goes around everything without touching a thing. So which is really odd, right? There's nothing like that anywhere else. The size of it is overwhelming. There are 9 fields there, like soccer fields and baseball fields. It just is massive. And
we got one like that out here. It's state. It's Pendleton.
Pendleton.
Yeah, it looks like Lewisburg.
It does. There's a lot of those were those really, really old ones. I have seen Brew Baker. I guarantee you that Casper has. Don't make me look bad. Casper's kind of a movie nut. I shouldn't say a historian, I should say. Brew Baker was a great film.
Cryptic Tattoo is the name of my shop.
Cryptic Tattoo. There you go.
Billings, Montana.
Way up the stakes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
2,000 calories they were giving you. They based our menu in the feds on a 2,400 calorie a day. Now, keeping in mind though, at least 1,000 of that came from bread.
Yeah,
they bred you to death, man. They really.
Did you guys have Jim Jones?
Absolutely. Yeah, the packets.
The packets, and they had the coolers.
No, we didn't get the big coolers. We just got the packets. But dude, that Jim
like
Jones
the water coolers.
It's so bad, dude.
Yeah.
Guys make candy out of it. It's the nastiest stuff in the entire
and makeup.
Oh, this is such a great question. This is such a great question.
Oh man.
Okay. When you look back at your time, what's the thing that smelled the worst?
Pita colada.
Right?
Yeah.
Pita colada.
Yeah, I could tell you by name, but I won't. I had a JCat cellmate. I just had a guy that he didn't shower, and it was a thing. And you don't want to tell on somebody, right? But you're running out of options. You go. I went to the shot caller and was like, "Dude's got to get out of my cellar. I'm going to kill him. He doesn't shower. He's got issues. He's category J. Dude's got to go." And the funk, right? And it was one of those yards that you didn't want to leave because it was softer than hospital cotton, right? So if I smacked this dude, there was dope everywhere. And at the time I had a habit, I'm like, I don't want to beat this dude up. And fortunately, the shot caller did it. He said to me, he goes, "Listen, go to yard. And I was like, oh, I got some stuff I got to do. He's like, disappear out of your cell and go somewhere for 2 hours. I was like, all right, I'll go to the yard. And when I came back, they had gotten rid of him. But I was only in there about a week. But I will never forget this dude. Like, I will never forget. I had to disinfect this cell for days. It was just that. And there was one spot that I did time in that so many people had bled in. They had a tunnel.
Yeah.
You had to run through, and it smelled like copper. It was just the smell of so much blood that had been let out there. And I remember the first time I walked through it, I went, what is that smell, dude? And the cop was like, smells like pennies, doesn't it? I'm like, oh, yeah, copper or something. He goes, it's blood. Yeah. And it was just, they shut that place down.
Yeah, being a porter, I'd have to go in and clean up after,
Did you have to take the course and do all that? The biohazard course? Those guys make good money in the feds.
Put on the suit.
They had to clean up the biohazard.
After fights.
Yeah. After the investigation's over, so it's sitting probably a week, and you have to go in there and clean up, and it's rotting flesh, basically.
Yeah.
Brubaker, was that the movie where Robert Redford was like a prison warden, and he like went into the prison to figure out the reform? Yeah. Dude, that was a great movie.
It was a really good movie. Came out in the mid to early 80s, I think.
Yeah. I thought it was like late 70s. Well,
thank you, Analytical Brawny. You're fantastic. I really appreciate you. Thank you for all the support. Collie Dennison says we had a ton of murderers up there. Most of the people that I did time with in the feds, you run into less murderers. You run into them, but it's not, murder is usually a state offense, right? You got to kind of get creative for murder to be a federal offense. You got to take
people you go across state lines or something. Yeah.
Yeah, so there were exceptions to the rule. I mean, there were people that did cross state lines. We did have murderers, and I talked about this, I think, the last time we were live. But the percentage of people who are doing life in prison these days versus what that was in the 70s, nobody got life in prison in the 70s. Nobody. Mm-hmm. There are more people doing life in prison today than there were incarcerated in the 1970s, and that's scary. We have changed how we do what we do, and it's becoming an issue. Like it really is. The holidays always sucked in the service. Sometimes you couldn't go home. Did the inmates calm down during the holidays? The inmates either get depressed or violent. The holidays are a crappy time to be in prison. Half of the place is walking around staring at the ground being really depressed, and the other half is looking for a fist fight at the absolute first chance they get. You know what I mean? Like, you fart, someone's going to hit you. You say something wrong, they're really short fuses. From about Thanksgiving until after January, it's just a real short fuse everywhere. I hated it. I hated it.
Yeah, we usually played a football game on Christmas Day. I think I talked about it before, Blacks against the Whites. And, those were amazing, violent, but but they were violent, and they were amazing football games. And because no one took anything personal, but we really got out our aggressions, and they were so much fun, man. They were so much fun.
Yeah, I can't. I've never done anything like that. I do remember though. I think probably the closest I ever got was that when we did all that was P90X, and then there was what was the next one? Insanity or whatever. We were doing that stuff in Black Canyon. That was about as close to any. I didn't like you played softball while we were there, didn't you? Weren't you on a softball team?
Yeah,
I didn't do any of that stuff in the feds. I did in the state, but in the feds, I was either getting high.
Yeah,
right? I was either getting high or I had gotten sober, and then at that point, all I was doing was reading books.
Yeah,
I really got serious about that.
Yeah, I lifted, played softball too, but they would never let us play football, especially.
Oh, you had weights everywhere too, did you, TV boy?
yeah, TV.
That's all right. I love you, Tommy.
with your packages and your weight piles. They did away with those.
When I go in there and lay in bed and watch basketball or something on my TV.
Nice. We had that in the state. I actually had a lot of fun having the TV in the
20-inch spades on the Impala.
That's it. Shotgun. I had to put that up there. I thought. Chicken Cherry Cola. Glad to have you here. Thank you. The takeaway, honestly.
Thank you for being here for us, because I look forward to Sunday. I just great. I really look forward to working.
I do too. And you know, Stephanie says it's a brutal time of the year to be incarcerated. It is. And what's funny is my experience since getting out is that a lot of people who get out of prison, it takes years before the holidays don't depress them. It takes years. And one of the reasons, honestly, that I first started putting up way more content during the holidays, like we'll put up 4 or 5 videos a day if we can, and we do that throughout the holidays, is because there are people, you know, people will give me shit and go, dude, you're doing this on Christmas Eve, taking people away. No, go spend time with your family. But there are people that don't have anybody, you know, and that's the reality. And I have found that. And so we put up because it's tough out here too. It really is. And I'm going to continue to do it. JCP, you rock. I struggle really hard with the holidays. I really do. Tommy Russ Casper, thank you for showing us that everybody deserves a second chance or a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. I'm proud of you 3 and humble to consider your friends. Yeah, I didn't quite get it on the second. 7th time was a charm, though. You know. Yeah. Honestly, somebody said to me, "This is an email I get at least once a week. How many chances do I have to give this person?" And I usually go just until they get sober. Right after that, you don't have to give them anymore.
Yeah,
until that point, you kind of got to keep doing it. You know. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate that, and thank you, SG. I'm going out horizontal later, guys. Thanks, Swiss Vape. Love you, brother. And thank you for your service. It's an honor to come here and talk to you guys. It really is, man. It is. I dig coming here and cutting it up. And it gives people a bit of an insight, I think, because honestly, if you watch prison movies, you don't have any idea what's going on in prison. They make movies that are so horrifically unrealistic. Thank God it's not like that in prison. There's not somebody getting R-worded every 2 seconds. That doesn't happen. No. And they would lead you to believe that you're going to get stabbed with something, right? It's going to be a body part or a piece of steel, and you're not getting out of here without one of those. And if you're not, like, you can do time and do time. The people that really have a problem doing time are people that are idiots, people that run up huge debts and don't pay them and things like that.
You make your time how it is.
You make your time how it is, to be sure, right?
Program and take care of what you got to take care of.
Yeah. And there's a term that guys use all the time where they'll say, dude's hard timing it, right? You'll hear somebody, and it's usually they're saying, more often than not, saying it about a friend. You know, another white boy will be like, you know what, we should go grab Casper, right? He's hard timing like a bastard. Let's get him out to the yard. We'll play bocce. We'll do something, because you'll watch people that you know go through it. And while you and I were there, when we were at Black Canyon, the guy hung himself on Christmas Eve. The guy took himself out, and he tied the door shut. Like, this dude got into it. Yeah, he was not going to get. But you know, it's a hard thing. The whole concept of doing time. But this guy, he had done like 9 years of a woman saying to him, "Can't wait for you to get home. Waiting on you." You know, that 9, 8, 7, and then at 30 days, she said, "Hey, there's a guy here. He's been here for like the last 7 years. I don't know what you're going to do when you get out. But you're going to have to figure something out." And he just, wow. So that was the end of that. Yeah.
There would be my violation.
Yeah, that's rugged. It happens a lot. It really does.
I said, yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll see when I see you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have been heaven. It would, or hell, wherever. Yeah.
Well, you know, when we did P90X, there was a Mexican fellow that started out with us, and like 140 or something people started this, and 6 finished it. Like, nobody finished this thing. And I remember day one, because he was huge, I went, "Oh, he ain't making it." I told a bunch of people, I'm like, "This dude does not make it." And he was like the guys on the TV show. Like, he just went, got 6-pack, like just got into shape. And at the very end of it, they gave prizes out and gave us like protein powders and a bunch of cool stuff. And I was talking to him. I was like, "Dude," I said, I bet against you, bro. I didn't think there was a chance you were going to finish this. And he goes, "My wife left me for the dude across the street." And he's like, that dude's like 290 pounds. He goes, "I'm getting out, walking home and going, 'What's up?' And then getting my stuff and leaving." He's like, "I ain't tripping out of there."
Good for him.
Good for you, brother. Good for you.
Yeah. And that's, you know, and I promised you that, I promised you. You probably didn't even want her back, but
yeah, exactly.
But I bet you had a lot of fun.
Usually better if you don't.
Yeah.
Shot caller or felon. You know what? Couple of good ones there. Shot caller or felon. And I'll tell you something, man. I watch Shawshank Redemption every single time it comes on.
Oh, yeah, me too.
That's just one of those, because here's the thing. it's an older time. I don't know what prison was like
Mhm.
back then, right? But there's so much of it that carries over, right? The conversations the guys have and stuff like that is all very
Love
real
that.
and very prison-like.
The
Yeah,
hustles.
there-
Yeah.
there's good dialogue in that movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hustles.
How they used to speak back then. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, that's another
Yeah.
thing, too. There's a big difference between, like, state and feds, because I had done state first, but when we get to the feds, like, especially the old-timers, screw.
Yeah.
always calling the dude screws or turn screw. Or,
Yeah.
Oh, man, I crack. Yeah, old men. And they'd be, hey, how you doing, boss? Good to see you, boss. Fucking turn screw. As soon as that dude walked
Yeah.
away, he'd be lighting him up. Yeah, it's so funny. Do they make mash? I shined. What we do is they will make wine, right, as the base, and then you'll shine the wine. So you'll take the wine and set up like a homemade still, where you take a bag, and that bag comes to a kind of a choke down where you have a tube on it. You need to get some plastic tubing. And if you got enough of it and it's the right size, you can actually run it through a crap load of ice. Like put it in the sink. And I used to have it go into there in a coil and then come back up over the side. And as the steam gets in there, you're steaming the alcohol. And when it hits the ice, that brings it back to a liquid. That first batch that comes out, you don't want to drink that first batch. Whew, might make you go blind. So you sell that to the guys down the tier. And then the rest of it, I'm kidding. No, but seriously, you do. And you can light that stuff on fire. You really can. That stuff will light on fire. And then after you get about 3 or 4 really solid pints out of it, then you get kind of the affectionately known as the ball wash.
Yeah, the ball wash.
And the ball wash usually gets sold to the guys you're not tight with.
I always did the spray bottle method, where you spray the bag, it condensate on the bag, and you spray it, and it all comes down, and I collect what comes down the bag on the inside. Yeah.
We had a really, really good one. I had a really, really great setup at Terre Haute, and I had a cop that did not give an shit. He used to come on Tuesdays, and he would come over and knock on the window right as we were locking up, and he'd go, tape the door, because he knew what we were doing. And I mean, he was totally cool with it. We would blow the stuff off. You were a guest where? I was a guest at Douglas County. Oh my God. For a minute, they had great chow. Joint had the best food. FCI Tucson there was a guy there that they hired to run the kitchen, and the guy was a chef. Like, he was a well-known, he was Korean. He was an amazing chef. And he got into it. Like, he really put out meals. And it was so small because 2 of the units on the yard were full of people that could never walk the yard, right? So they had an INS building, and they had a woman's prison, and they had nothing to do with anything else. So when they were done feeding, they would come out and go, we got 6 trays left over. Anybody hungry? And they'd literally like walk around and put stuff on people's trays. It was different.
When I first got to Terre Haute, they still had soft serve ice cream on the line, the line in the middle.
Yeah.
They still had soft serve ice cream. They still had the grill. So, you know what I mean? You could get your meat to order almost. There was 2 entrees.
They still had the breakfast cereal.
They still had the breakfast cereal.
You go up and twist it and get all of it you wanted. I remember that. That was when I first, that went away right as I got there. They used to have soft serve. Yep.
Yeah.
I was fired, dude. Oh, yeah, the good old days.
Yeah.
They had a soda machine when I first got there.
Soda machine?
They did.
Yep.
They had a soda machine. Everything changed. Like, I got there and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And like 4 weeks later, they took away everything. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Well, fed my ass. But yeah, here's the thing. It is a national menu, right? So in theory, you're getting the same slop everywhere you go, right? In theory. But a lot of it has to do with the boys working in the kitchen. So if you have a meal and the meal is chicken whatever, if they're selling 5 pounds of raw chicken, cooked chicken out the back that was supposed to go into the recipe, and then they're just throwing in a bunch of cornstarch to make the difference, then the meals tend to suck, And at the higher custody levels, if they think you're ripping off what they're supposed to be eating, they'll kill you. But at the lower levels, guys get away with a lot of crap. It's just different.
Oh, yeah.
But when I first felt too, there was this a cook. Everyone called him Boss Hog, and and him and that warden at the time, they felt like a full inmate was a happy inmate and was a calm inmate, and they fed us like kings, man. I mean, we ate so good, it was crazy. But
how much
it
sense
stopped.
does that make?
It stopped. Like
they should have kept doing it. It's like you've been to the hole a million times. I have. Yeah, but I mean, you get to the hole, right? And what do? You sleep and eat, right? And the more food that they can give you, they will triple the portions that they give you in the hole all the time. Like if you've ever worked the line in the kitchen, they'll go double it up, put as much on, because they want you to sleep all day. They don't want you kicking the door. And it works. They should be on the yard. Crazy. All right.
Lay around and watch TV in the shoe.
Watching TV in the shoe. We're lucky we get a damn radio in the shoe.
Yep.
Yeah. Normally you just got to buy one. You go to the shoe and buy another radio because it's going to take
in the state here they'll give you your TV after 30 days. Yeah. It's crazy. In the hole. In the hole. Yeah.
In the hole.
See, when I was in the state, they had ad seg and dis seg. So you could go to the hole on administrative segregation. Even if you did something like you got caught with a bag of wine, you could still be on ad seg. You should be on dis seg, but there were some things that they took really seriously, and you wouldn't get your stuff like fist fights. You're not getting.
He froze up.
But if you got caught with wine or dope or whatever, you got your TV the day they brought you over. You got all your property. They just took your damn cell and put it in the hole. But man, the feds aren't like that. You get done dirty, dude.
They did that to Ironwood because Ironwood was brand new. I was the second bus there. That was a level 3 coming down from a level 4. I was coming from Quentin, I think. Or Folsom, which one? I don't remember. But you got there and they just locked you in your cell. They didn't put you in the hole. The hole was already full, but you got all your property. You got your property. I had everything, TV, headphones, all of it. Fan.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
Sorry. I apologize.
It's okay.
No, I mean, here's the thing. Cali's tough time though. It's not. I mean, it's not easy time.
You earn it.
I mean, I was
sitting with royalty with your television.
Yeah. My celly had 3.
Clucking.
And got mine when I left. So.
Clucking like a big dog.
Yeah.
You know what's great? This is a good story, and I'll finish with this. This is a great story. So when I was leaving the state joint, I had a television. I bought myself a TV in the state. So I come downstairs and get ready to go. I'm walking to the front door, and the guy goes, the property guy goes, "Where's your television?" I go, "Oh, my TV broke a long time ago, bro. I threw that thing in the trash." And he's like, "Well, you better go find it out of the trash." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, you better go find it out of the trash." I go, "Or what? I'm going home." He goes, "Well, you got 3.5 months of good time on that." He's like, "We'll just take 90 days of it." I was like, "I'll go find that TV." And I had to go to the homeboy and go, "Hey, man, I know I gave you that TV, but I got to take it." Right? Like this guy. And he goes, "They're just going to resell it." I go, "Oh, no." I took that thing like I was walking a dog, bro. I wrapped that thing around my hand and just dragged it down the stairs. Glass flying, plastic flying.
Yeah.
There you go,
bravo.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
See you later. Good times. Good times. Most famous person that I ever did time with, probably Drew Peterson, the cop, the guy from New Jack City, the guy that the Somali pirate, right, from that movie. I did time with him.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And that was the best, dude, because he complained always. He was always screaming, and there was a cop there, and he was always yelling, "Piper!" The cop's name is Piper. "Mr. Piper, I'm dying." That dude was up. Those were probably the famous ones.
Yeah, I was with Gene Gotti. That's
a good one.
Yeah, there was, and I know Gucci Mane was where I was at, but I rarely seen him because he was, they were too busy. Yeah. And that's really it. I mean, I'm sure there was a few more, but yeah.
Yeah, I've been around all the older killers. I've been where Manson was, I seen him.
Corcoran. Was he at Corcoran where you were?
Yeah. Is it Corcoran?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand that. That's all right.
Yeah.
This is a hard time of year. Please remember you're not alone, right? Connection is everything. It's the opposite of addiction, and it's the opposite of anything else that's going wrong with you. It's the reason they keep trying to separate us, right? Anytime you find them trying to do something, do the opposite. It's probably a good idea, right? If everyone's trying to make you hate everybody, go ahead and love them. See what happens. I promise it works out better. And on that note, gentlemen, I'm so happy that you spend your time with me here every Sunday.
Me too.
I really appreciate that. Can we get Casper's link up? There are 261 of you in the chat. If you have not hit subscribe to my friend Casper's channel, shame on you. Get over there and do it now.
I really appreciate
that up. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then get over and do the same with Johnny Scoville and my girlfriend, Relatable Reese. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming out where we're going to be going after some pretty ugly stuff. And you're looking at the team of people that will be doing it, including Casper. So make sure that you are subscribed everywhere, people. And we will see you same bat time, same bat channel next week. Gentlemen, you guys rock.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas if we don't see you. Okay.
That's right. Between now and the next time I see you, reach out and try to save somebody.